Welcome back, Chargeheads. We're at a garage today where there is some really interesting cars. One specifically that I've come to see today, which is it's kind of a Porsche. It's a kit car which has a Tesla large drive unit in it. It's a bit of EV kind of Tesla swap history that was actually built by Zero EV or Fellten, which it's now known as. It's Andy's place, and Andy was in my last video. He's got the 220,000 mile Tesla Model 3 with the same battery and motors, so go back and watch that episode if you haven't seen it. But let's have a look in Andy's garage to see what else we can find other than this exciting Porsche. Let's go and have a look. Perfectly timed, mate. So Andy, thank you very much for inviting me to this amazing garage with some very exciting cars in. Can you just give us a very quick overview of what you've got? So other than the black Tesla that we've already seen last episode, so please everyone go and have a look at that. High mileage Tesla Model 3 long range stealth. But yeah, tell us about the other vehicles you got. You got a few.
yeah, I think there's 7 sitting here at the minute. I think it's that adage where if you, I've literally just built the garage, and it just instantly got filled with cars.
Easily done.
Just don't build large garages because you end up with more cars. So I suppose if we start with this one. This is well, it's meant to be a 911. It isn't. If you look at the back end, this is a space frame put together by a company called SHP. I think they're just north of Ely in Littleport.
Okay.
And this car was, so sorry for the state of it at the minute. It's not been cleaned since it came back from Coventry Motorfest. But so this particular car was one of Chris Hazel's first ever cars, I think, from Zero EV before it became Fellten.
Yeah.
And they built 3 of these cars for a show called Elekron in Macao. And the other 2 were actually Nissan 350s.
I did put some footage on a video, I think it was 3 years ago when I went to go and see Chris. So I'll put that on the screen now just for everyone to have a look at. So this is one of those cars?
It is. So actually the cars are exactly the same, apart from this has just been covered with a 996 body as opposed to a Nissan 350.
Yeah.
This one was slightly more interesting in it. This was the fire car.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so if you
EVs and fires, they don't tend to mix.
This is the one that this is an EV that genuinely actually did catch fire every night.
And you mentioned that you'd been to CovFest, isn't it? Motorfest. And you've done a bit of drifting. I can see by the one of the tyres there that there's some skids that have happened, and some tyre has been abused.
Yeah, so. The original plan for the car was to do Formula G in it because I was competing in Formula G in Subaru. Start with.
And it is strange that one of my friends, Alex Newton, he's been doing Gymkhana. He does a lot of drifting, and didn't realise that you used to do it against each other, which was quite an interesting link. So
you know Alex.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a long story. I'll try and make it as short as I can. So I was. My original company was Endurance Solutions Limited. We used to make ECUs for Subarus. So I had an STI 5RA that we used to use in Formula G. Prior to that, I just think I had a 325 with a welded diff, 500 quid's worth.
Oh yeah, so that's the best way for drifting, right? Tramp drift.
It was, and actually really competitive car. I mean,
cool.
Bonkers for the money. I think I put some Toyo 888s on. It just had a standard engine and a hydro, a lock diff, and some lowering springs. That was it. And actually, it would probably just about do a 20-second barrel sprint back in the time when it was doing barrel sprint, which was a competitive time. I got loads of videos of it beating quite exotic stuff.
Oh, cool.
It was quite funny. So then we progressed on to four-wheel drive because I wanted to promote my business. So we had an ESL branded STI 5RA. We launched that just before Gymkhana Grid, which is Ken Block's international series. And it was coming to Santa Pod that year. So I think we had about 3 rounds in Formula G, and then we went to compete in Santa Pod at Gymkhana Grid. It was torrential rain that year. I think this was 2015, if I remember rightly now. And out of the box, my Subaru was the quickest car in the wet, so I was quite pleased about.
And you got a Scooby behind you here. Is this something that you've raced before, or?
No, this was a recent purchase. This was just another impulse purchase, much to my wife's chagrin. Yeah, this is it's another race car. So okay. I think I dread to think how many Subarus I've had in total. This was just too good a deal not to have, basically.
No, fair play.
This is 6-speed box.
Wow.
Forged 2-litre engine, SC46 turbo. Of course, this is the sort of management car we put our management system on. Ironically, it's got someone else's management system on because I just bought it. But this was probably we were going to bring it in probably to break and sell. To be honest, but,
fair enough.
Actually, if anyone wants it,
there we go.
I'm quite happy to sell it as a complete car.
Well, send us an email to chargeheads@gmail.com if you're interested in
very
this
nice
Scooby.
Spec, 1992, no rust at all.
Yeah, she is very clean, and I'll put some more detail in the gumph in the write-in later.
Yeah, so we used to have the Subaru to compete in Gymkhana. Very, very competitive car. Just missed out. I think we were a 10th away from a podium in 2015. Then we took the car to Athens. This was the Subaru. I had awesome event, and I managed to actually line up against Ken in practice.
Oh wow!
And we were pretty much neck and neck down the thing in, and I managed to hit a big barrel at the end and knock over the timing gear, so I wasn't too. I can name organisers weren't best pleased. It was a bank holiday, I think, in Greece as well, so they had to struggle to get things repaired. I think I put that car together for about £10,000, and we're up against cars that some of them are £250,000 worth, wow. and actually, it's quite competitive in terms of time. The Solbergs both running those events as well. Petter and Ollie, Terry Grant. I beat Terry.
Just put that in there.
What happened after the event in Athens, then the next Gymkhana Grid was in Warsaw, and I had a friend called Chris Hazel, who's CEO at Fellten, was Zero EV, and he had a R32 Skyline.
Yeah.
Quite similar respect to this, LDU in the back. Used a different set of batteries, and I can't honestly remember what they are now, but they were in the front of the car. And we approached Monster and just said, is there any possibility of running an electric car at the Gymkhana World Champs, which is at Warsaw, I think I want to say 2018, 2019, just prior to lockdown. I think it was the 2019 one. And we got accepted. So it'd be sort of first electric Gymkhana car, and we just fell outside the top 16, so we didn't quite qualify. But it was close. I think with a little bit more work, we'd have been right up there. And I love driving that car. It was slightly alien because you've only got two pedals, you've got no gearbox, you've got no clutch. But because you've got such monstrous torque response, instead of kicking the clutch, all you have to do is actually just put your foot down, and that generates a clutch kick because the wall of torque is so vertical. I drove it like a go-kart, left foot on the brake pedal, right foot on the accelerator, and steering. Obviously, no gears to worry about, no clutch to worry about. So in many respects, it was a simpler car to drive, but you still had to modify your way of driving it. So it was just pull with the left hand, get the car sliding, come off the thing, set your throttle, and then steer into the slide. Simple as that. And the R32 was it was an R32 front end, and it was just literally a Model S back axle attached.
And is that the same on the Porsche here?
No. So the Porsche, this is a purely custom-made space frame. So you can see that space frame has been designed for an LDU to slot into it. Like I said, it was one of 3 cars, and they were just bodied with different other vehicles. So this is a really, in terms of driving, this 911 is much better because it's a custom-made space frame. It's very, very light, despite having a 65 kilowatt-hour battery. I think it's still in about 1,200 kilos.
So how long have you actually had it for?
Oh, that's a good question. It must be, I want to say it's 2 or 3 years now, probably something like that. The idea was that I was going to take it into Formula G and ultimately take it onto Gymkhana Grid again. But what happened was Formula G became MS-UK accredited, and MS-UK won't give you an EV passport for a custom EV at the moment. you know, obviously that's risk management on their behalf. You can get an EV passport for a standard EV like a Tesla, but if it's custom made, you can't do it.
Right.
So the only reason I got to, very limited in terms of what events I can do at the minute. The reason I got to Coventry Motor Fest was it was run by Monster.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an MS UK event.
No.
So I'm allowed to go out at that one.
Yeah. So let's have a look inside, Andy. Let's have a look in the engine bay. Well,
it was never the engine bay.
No.
It was a 911. It wasn't the engine bay. So in the front. So it's got twin charges in there in a minute, good for 22 kilowatt charging, 22 kilowatt AC, doesn't have CCS. You can see that the space frame was built by SHP, and it's been custom built to make this. Front rad calls chargers and batteries.
Yeah.
There's another rad in the back for the motors. And it's driven by the pumps just down there, the coolant pumps down there, just a little 12 volt one. I don't know, I think Chris might have said it might have been off of VW or something.
Okay.
So that will maintain, obviously it all feeds back to an Orion BMS. So that will monitor temperatures, monitor charge state, so on and so forth.
Whereabouts is the BMS?
The BMS is actually in the central tunnel, underneath the gear selector.
Yep. We've got a 12 volt battery just there. And what's that there? Is that
contactors live in there?
Contactors in there. Okay.
HV in the other side there. I think it's got the sort of Carrera Cup style suspension.
Right.
Wheels and brakes. Got monstrous discs on the back, just purely for the hydro, I imagine.
Yeah.
Because it was predominantly, drifting. There's 11. There's sort of 3/4 of a 75 pack skateboard pack underneath.
Yep.
Some of the modules calf at the back. And there is 11. There's a module there underneath the chargers, and there's a module in the nose there. So it's 13 in total. It gives you 65 kilowatt hour of battery.
Yeah.
And 325 volts.
Okay.
So the LDU will take up to 400. So it's not running
max
all it could.
Yeah.
Because I think it's an 84 cell tap Orion 1 BMS, so I can fit one more module and wire that in quite easily. Otherwise, I'd have to go up and I'd have to buy a BMS, an Orion 2 with 96 cell taps. So I can run it at 350 volts just by adding one module, which is just a case of finding the space for it, and then just adding the cell taps back and linking it into the battery. And my plan was to take the chargers off the car and put them on the dolly. So I'm not then carrying. It doesn't need to be on the car really because it's a racing car. So. The charger would then be in the support vehicle, and then potentially I could use that dolly for any other electric racing cars that I have. So,
cool.
Yeah, and it would reduce the weight even further.
Can we have a look inside? It looks very interesting. Let's take a look. Right, so you've managed to fold yourself into the seat then, Andy?
Yeah, there was a bit of shenanigans when I first bought the car, so I had to put the seat back. None of it was adjustable, obviously, so we had to start drilling new holes and move the seat back, but also I had to move the pedal box forward because I've got quite long legs.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's not too bad for me now. I can fit in it now.
So the HV cable is going along the middle there?
Yeah, so normally this is all covered up so you can't get too close to the orange stuff.
Right.
The centre of the modules are all underneath that, so you can pull off the taps from there. Obviously got a plumbed in fire exit system, which is all controlled from here. It's got a reverse cam because I can't see out the back.
So that's on that screen there, is it?
That's right, yeah.
Right.
The reason I can't see out the back was because it was the fire car and it was always on fire. It's completely fireproofed, so there's a fireproof bulkhead there.
Right, got it. Cool.
So if we flick it on, so it's master switch there, ignition, and then contacts engaged there. Then it's got an early, I think this is an early 0 EV screen, which will come on and show temperatures and battery state of charge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the kilowatts make sense there. I don't know why the MPH is calibrated 2021. Maybe they didn't get above that in the show. I don't tend to really look at that when I'm driving it. You've obviously got drive unit temperature, battery temperatures, and battery state of charge.
And what's the performance of this? I mean, it's obviously not running its full potential, but do you know any sort of 0 to 60s or quarter mile times? Or
I haven't run it down to quarter mile, so it's fairly straightforward to calculate the. So the batteries are good for like 1,000 amps. I think they say that the Model S and X modules
They're good for about 1500 amps for about 2 seconds, and then about 1000 amps for about 10 seconds. And then once you lift off, the voltage unsags, and then you can get back on it and you can have all that performance again. It's 325 volts at the minute with 13 modules. So say 1000 amps, it's going to be 325 kilowatts, which I can't convert into horsepower straight away, but I'm going to guess it's 400 and a bit.
220 is about 300 brake, so it's going to be about it's going to be sort of 450 brake horsepower, I guess.
450, something like that.
And do you know how much this thing weighs?
I haven't had it corner weighted yet, but the rumour from the guy I bought it from was I think it was in the region of 1200, 1250, something like that.
This will move. We need to get it down Santa Pod.
Unfortunately, Santa Pod do the same thing.
Yes.
Custom EVs are not allowed to run, so I can't. So at the minute, it does some low-speed skids at Coventry Motorfest and hasn't done very much. We did a big article for Porsche GT magazine, I think I wanted to say, and again they just let us do a burnout in the photo shoot location. It converted the tyres instantly into a cloud, which then pretty much it's good at skidding, put it that way.
And very useful, the old hydraulic.
The old hydro, which I had to have moved again, otherwise I get tennis elbow or hydro elbow.
Cool.
So yeah, and it's left-hand drive, so that took a bit of getting used to, but to be honest, it wasn't. It's pretty straightforward. The R32 was left-hand drive as well, and although it's got 3 pedals, 2 of those are brake pedals.
Right.
So 2 of them just lock up the front if you want to do a massive burnout, and that one controls all of them. So that's just a standard brake pedal, front only. This is rear only. So you've got every possible combination of braking you can want. You can control the axle separately, and of course you've just got throttle apart from that.
Right, I'm going to have to move because the roll cage is encroaching far too much right now.
Right in the gooch.
And here, Andy, this is Andy's race car, and Lola is in the Lola. There's not many people who've got a Lola race car in their garage. Where did this all come from?
Yeah, it's another impulse purchase.
Okay.
I picked it up from Wales many years ago now, and it's the car that so many other cars have come and gone. I've built them and raced them and sold them, and this one's just sat here waiting for it because it's, a slightly more complicated beast being a single seater. It was an ex-Supernova car, rumoured to be Juan Pablo Montoya's car. He won the World Championship in it in 1998. Rumoured, I haven't had it confirmed, but I think it's HU038. If there was any old Lola employees who've got a list, they might be able to help me out with that. But certainly when we took the paint back, you can see the yellow wing, which tends to indicate it was a Supernova car. Very, very successful F3000 team. The original intent was, when I was working my company here, so we were making the Subaru management, I was going to put a Subaru flat 4 in the back. The reason why it sort of didn't happen in the end, I just couldn't fit the manifolds in, no matter how I did. Although the car was wide enough, which is kind of why I bought it, to fit a box of 4, I just couldn't fit the manifolds top and bottom. So that kind of got abandoned. And I thought a Tesla LDU does fit. So that's another possibility. That would be my ultimate dream. And the first stage would be to make it electric and then get it out on track. Again, fraught with difficulties, as we know, because they don't like letting custom EVs out on track, but the dream is still there. Obviously, if someone was to offer me what it's worth, or offer me an amount of money, I'd probably take it, but
there we go.
Everything's for sale at the right price.
Cool. No, thanks for showing us this, Andy. That's amazing. Now, Andy, you mentioned things for sale. As you might know, I'm really into my Japanese cars, especially imports. And when I saw this was very exciting. Not very appreciated, the Mitsubishi GTO, but this is a Spanish Manuel, so certainly the more sought after. But how long you had it for?
I want to say a couple of years with this one. Bought it as a bit of a project. I've been sort of nibbling away at bits and pieces on it. Needs brake discs, I think, for the MOT. We just put it through, and I think it failed on the fog light, wasn't quite ready enough. So I've got to do a few more bits and pieces on it, stick an MOT on it.
Go on, open the bonnet. Let's have a look at the beast.
Apologies for the state again. Nothing's been cleaned since I built the garage. It's
3 litre V6 twin turbo.
Yeah, twin turbo, V6 24 valve. I can't remember if it's I think it's a 3.2. Four-wheel steer, four-wheel drive, adaptive suspension with the motors on the hub tops.
Yep.
Adaptive aero front and rear, that all still works, believe it or not. Four-wheel steer. It had literally, it was bonkers. For,
you just can't beat 90s Jap cars, can you? I absolutely love them.
Absolutely mad. It didn't appreciate like the NSX or like the Supra or anything at all, really.
No.
You can still pick them up for relatively low money, and I love it, don't get me wrong, but I've just got too many cars, so this will be finding its way on eBay fairly shortly, I think, once I've got the MOT on it.
We only just about got Rusty to go on the driveway, to be fair, so...
Kona's on the...
so there was another car, Electric Kona,
so... fit two more in here if I'm really, I just don't tell anything about that. I think I'll sell them before I can buy another one now.
So the plan is to get this MOT and probably sell this, is it? Or...
Yeah, I think it all runs nice, engine's good, transmission's good. Body works a bit iffy in places.
I think if I had the space, I must admit it would potentially be on my list because, just very underappreciated car. And bear in mind, there's a lot of Jap cars that, in my mind, are very overpriced now. This is one that is certainly not got to that point. So
it's still buy them while you can because there's going to come a point when there isn't many left.
No, for sure. Cool. No, thanks for showing us this, Andy. So there we have it. A very full garage of some really interesting cars. It's great to see, it's electric Porsche, kind of Porsche, Teslaswapped, bit of history there, which is great to see. Anyone that knows a bit about the EV conversion world will be, I'm sure, interested to see that. But, like with a lot of people that are into electric cars or a Chargehead, they do have exciting petrol cars as well, like this Scooby, like the Mitsubishi GTO, or just a Lola race car. But no, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, Thursdays 8 o'clock we have our live streams, YouTube. Get involved, ask questions, and monthly meets we've got with Chargeheads now. The next monthly meet is on the 5th of February, and that will be at either the Bowl or the Hill Cafe and Machine. Let me know which one you're going to be at, and I'll let you know which one I'm going to be at near the time. Thanks for watching.